everyone, it's Anthony Allen Ramos. Okay, so international drag performer and fashion icon Violet Chachki is hitting the road for her one-woman show called A Lot More, which is all things drag, all things fashion, and more. The tour kicks off August 21st in Detroit, and it's going to take her all the way to San Francisco on the 29th. And there's a lot of places, a lot of stops in between those. Violet, how are you?
I am doing so good. Thank you for taking the time to speak with me.
Oh my gosh, so excited. I mean, this show sounds amazing. You have got a bunch of dates between August 21st and 29th. So what's the vibe? I mean, we're getting close. It's a little over, less than a month away now.
I know. It's a weird moment for me because I've been going for like basically almost 7 years now. But of course, I had a whole year and whatever it was, 6 months off. So now I'm having to like retrain my mind and body to get back into the game. And I have to almost get re-excited about the show all over again, which for me means new costumes, new numbers, new wigs, new material, new videos. So it's a lot of work to just all of a sudden go from like 0 to 100. But I've been so bored. I'm so excited to put all of the ideas that I've been sort of sitting on for a year and a half into the system.
So it's going to be blending performances. There's going to be other bits of it too. Obviously, lots of fashion. I mean, how many costume changes are we thinking for each show?
Oh my God, that is a loaded question.
Yes.
It's difficult because a lot of the costumers I work with, I mean, I've got looks coming from Schiaparelli, from Prada, custom Louboutin. So it's like these people that I work with are some of the most talented dressmakers, couturiers, fashion houses in the world. But that being said, it's not the easiest to get in and out of the outfits quickly.
Yeah.
So it really becomes like a little bit of engineering to figure out how to do quick changes because it really is a one-woman show. Yeah, the costumes are intense and there's a lot of them. And I've had to really, again, take that year and kind of analyze what was working, what wasn't, what can be better, what can be faster, how can we format the show so that we have those big wow fashion moments from some of these incredible, I mean, the work that went into these costumes is insane. I'm so lucky and so privileged to literally wear couture. I mean, I know on Drag Race and a lot of drag queens are like, I'm giving you couture, I'm giving you GLAAD. No, like I'm literally giving you couture, like actually in reality. And so it does definitely take some finessing, but that's really, for me, fashion is such an important part of drag. I mean, it's really the step one. Drag will always be something that you have to put on. So I take a lot of pride in what I put on my body and how I showcase it. And, you know, my name literally translates to like purple decorative object. So being decorative is very important to who I am as a drag character. And I definitely get excited about that and want to share that as cleanly and as clearly as possible. So the costumes are definitely one of my favorite parts of the show.
So Violet, I know you like to be sexy and, have never shied away from that. So are we going to see kind of those elements on stage at your show? I hope so.
Absolutely. I mean, burlesque and striptease is a huge part of my drag character, my drag persona. I really fashioned myself after fetish icon Betty Page. So I've always been extremely sex positive, and especially, I think it's important as a queer person to not shy away from that either. I think right now we're so focused on being marketable and being palatable, especially with something like Pride season. But for someone like me, I mean, the fetish number that I have planned for the show is extremely sexy, extremely racy, and I'm so lucky to be partnered with a brand called Lilo, who is a luxury sex toy real retailer, and they have some of the most insane toys I've ever seen. We're talking 24 karat gold plated butt plugs. It is luxury and self-love, self-pleasure at its finest. And really that's what drag is about for me, is self-love and self-pleasure. And I'm so excited to be partnering with them.
That sounds like a lot of fun. Well, I can't wait for that on stage. I'm in LA, and you will be at the Velasco on the 28th. That is one of the stops, which we're very excited. But thinking about your transition after Drag Race, really into becoming a fashion icon. That isn't an easy thing to do, and not all of the queens are able to do it. How did you manage to really go from a Drag Race world, which is very much performance, into literally being able to have Schiaparelli and Louboutin wanting to dress you and wanting to work with you, and also just collaborate with you on things? I just it's getting into the high fashion is not an easy thing.
It is not. I definitely would say it's one of the more elitist industries, but lucky for me, I am an elitist queen. So I think that at its heart, the fashion world is all about creatives and about visionaries and about artists. And I think that there's a mutual respect between, and it's also run by a lot of gay men, let's just be honest.
True.
I think there's a lot of mutual respect between a designer sort of having a vision in his mind and translating it using the most extravagant means necessary to have a show or to have a campaign or to have a collection or whatever it may be. There is a mutual respect for drag at this level, and that is elevating drag and is also celebrating queer people in a glamorous and filtered and edited and elevated way. And I think that's sort of, there's a parallel, and I think that a lot of the fashion designers do that as well, especially now. I mean, inclusivity is so important, and it kind of just goes hand in hand. It's a little tandem that it makes sense. I mean, it makes sense. It's about time. And I know, I mean, RuPaul definitely ran so that I could run slower. I'm not gonna say walk, because it is very difficult and it is a lot of work. And I think people don't realize how much work being a look queen, being a fashion queen truly is. And for me, it's all about reinventing yourself and pushing the boundaries every single time that you get in drag. And that's a lot of pressure to put on yourself. But why I do it, I love it. It's a lot of fun. And it is really rewarding. I mean, I've gotten to, like you said, work with some of my idols and some of the greatest creatives of our time. I mean, I would have imagined that I'd have a pair of custom Christian Louboutin shoes that are one of a kind when I started doing drag. I mean, that was like never in my wildest dreams.
And you went to the Met Gala, right?
Yes, that was when the theme was, it was like perfect timing. The theme was amazing. My dress was amazing. Everything sort of synchronized to this beautiful moment. And then, of course, the last Met Gala was canceled, and now they pushed it to September. Yeah, the Met Gala was one of the most rewarding experiences. I mean, in one like 60-second moment, I got to meet Donatella Versace, Bob Mackie, and John Galliano. It was like boom, boom, boom. And I don't know how I did that without like hyperventilating.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, oh my God, I'm obsessed with you. I'm obsessed with you. And like, just like trying to play it cool was definitely a test of my skill sets.
That's such a moment. I remember seeing those pictures. It's funny thinking about this roller coaster of a ride that we are on with Drag Race, 13 seasons, all these Emmy wins, continues to be Emmy nominated. You, of course, won season 7, which kind of is like right in the middle of it all. I think that was what, 2016, right?
It aired 2015.
2015, got it.
I believe, yes. It was a long time ago. It was a while ago.
Yeah, and it's like, I just think about like this roller coaster, and it's, this wave of momentum that just keeps getting bigger and more fans, and it's just such a sensation. I mean, what is it about this time now that you think that it's just the time where people are finally getting it, and finally, I think drag and the show in general is just getting the recognition that it finally deserves, and obviously from the TV Academy and beyond. Why do you think now is this, big moment?
I've definitely heard queer people in the past talk about sort of the straight community being like 5 years behind, the gays. And it's sort of like the gay sort of like start something and then 5 years later, even like look at skinny jeans, for instance, things sort of take time to trickle down when it's like a gay thing, and then it sort of becomes a mainstream thing. And I think that's no exception here. And I like to think that even me personally, in my mind, are sort of ahead of the curve as far as trend forecasting, whatever it may be. And yeah, I mean, in my mind, when I was on season 7, I was like, oh, this is the last season. Like, this is the peak. It can't get any crazier than this. And then you realize there is a whole other there's layers to it. It does expand and it does grow, and people do discover it in new ways. And the internet has a huge role in that, social media. I mean, when I was starting out, Instagram was just becoming a big thing.
Yeah.
I like to think that my season was like the kind of the beginning of a shift. It was like the beginning of the end. You have like 1 through 6 is like your core queer representation. It was on Logo. Season 7 was also on Logo, and then it sort of started to switch over to VH1 and become more mainstream and sort of be, I don't know if it's more palatable. It's just a little different. It was a bit more raw before, and now it's become a bit more of a format and more marketable and definitely celebratory and more inclusive. Especially the past few seasons have been so inclusive to our trans sisters and brothers. And I think that's great. I think, you know, it should grow, it should evolve, and it should change. And yeah, it's great. I love it. I love to see. Of course, there's pros and cons to everything, but I think it does more good than it does bad, for sure.
Definitely. I mean, speaking of last season and, you know, being more inclusive, what's your take on Gottmik's style and fashion?
Oh, me and Mick are good friends.
Yeah.
We actually are going to be doing a web show together soon if we can ever get our shit together. As you saw before we started filming, I am not tech savvy at all. So it does take a little bit of motivation to get things together. But Mick is so incredible, so inspiring. I met Mick a long time ago before they had transitioned. And I want to say that he was a fan of mine. And that's sort of how we met. Hi, everyone. It is me, Violet Chachki. I am here
Wait, do it again. Just do it again. Cut the crap.
And Mick had been doing my makeup before for shoots and on set. So it was really sort of amazing to see them get on the show, do so well, discover new elements about themselves, talk about gender, talk about how there's no right or wrong way to be a man or be a woman, and that it really doesn't exist. Gender completely is a construct. And it's nice to see those viewpoints discussed on VH1 to a larger audience. And it's just great. I love to see Mick's success, and the fashion is there. And I feel like I haven't had as much respect for a look queen or a fashion queen up until this point. You know, Mick had gone to fashion school. I went to fashion school as well. I dropped out. She graduated. So there's a little bit of a difference there, but I have a mutual respect for someone who has studied and knows what they're talking about, has a strong viewpoint, can deliver, can put together a look, but also knows how to budget and have a really gorgeous high budget look, but can also, you know, get down there and hot glue and sew themselves and really has the eye for it. So I have nothing but love and respect for my queen, Gottmik.
I love Gottmik. I live for a look queen. So yeah, I mean, I can't wait for your collaboration and your, wait, it's you said a web episode or something?
It's a web show. It's going to be called No Gorge. And it's sort of like, we're sort of making it up as we go, but it's sort of like a podcast format. We're going to talk about whatever we want, but it's definitely going to be fashion focused. We have what I think is so great is that we also have conflicting viewpoints. And so there's going to be some discourse and some dialogue about fashion and aesthetics and drag, and it's all sort of intersectional in the same way I was talking about before with fashion and with drag, and the mutual respect and the sort of similarities and the parallels between the two industries. And I think there's no better duo to discuss that than me and Mick.
I agree. I am here for that. So I look forward to that happening. You know, and also we're in the middle of All Stars 6, your season 7. She was your runner, one of the runners up. Yeah, Ginger.
We don't know who was the real runner up.
That's true.
I've either placed second or third.
Right? I mean, we'll never know. Oh, wait, before we get to that, speaking of that, what is it that Trixie said recently? She said that you actually were an alternate, but you never were originally part of the cast. Is that right?
For season 7?
I think that's what she said.
Is that what she said? I don't know if that's true or not. I don't think that's true. There definitely is with casting that sort of, oh, you're on the short list for backups. I don't remember that happening for me. I remember immediately getting a phone call saying you're auditioning, correct? And then I sent my videotape in, and then I just got down, you know, you do the
Right.
Zoom interview and you do the psychological evaluation. I remember getting cast very quickly, but maybe she knows something I don't know. You know, she's in with that whole crew over there in that basement of hers.
That's that's right. But I think she was saying it like in a kind way, because I think she was saying, like, can you imagine that she ended up winning and she, but who knows?
Well, I don't think I was cast as a winner. I don't think I mean, you know, you can put the tinfoil hat on all day long and think,
Right.
you know, whatever you want to think. And of course, I have, you know, my own conspiracy theories about like how the casting works and who they think are the front runners and who's going to win and all that stuff. And that's part of the fun of it, is kind of
Right.
trying to decipher how the machine works. I still don't know. Of course, I don't think I was cast as a winner. I think I was cast as the bitch of the season. But you know what? I just prove that you can do both.
Gonna be a bitch and the winner.
A bitchy winner.
A bitchy winner. Well, I mean, speaking of winners, I mean, Ginger has a win so far. Was high last week, I think. Yes. Do you think Ginger's got what it takes for the All-Star 6 crown?
Um, to be honest, I haven't really been watching closely
Yeah.
this season. What I do like about the season that I've noticed is that I feel like it's a very even playing field for all of the contestants. Like,
Yeah.
it feels like usually with All Stars, you sort of know, oh, well, she's going to win, or she's the front runner, or she's actually an All Star, or da 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 da. They all sort of are at the same even playing field as far as fan favorites or whatever it may be. So I think no one is at a real advantage. I mean, maybe she is because she's done it 3 times now,
Right.
but maybe 3rd time's the charm. I don't know. I think Ginger is a wildly talented actress. The challenge she just won, was it an acting challenge or comedy?
I think it was.
We know it wasn't a sewing challenge.
No, comedy. I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to remember because I did like a binge where I watched everything together.
It just blurs into one. Yes,
It does.
God.
I'm like, what episode was? Because that's the thing with it streaming now. Yeah, I mean, with
Oh,
it being
yeah.
on Paramount, it's like it's not the same as the
The
appointment.
anticipation of the bar shows.
Exactly. Ugh, the bar shows missed that. Yeah. So I think Ginger could make it, your fellow season 7 queen. Speaking back on your tour, which begins August 21st, everyone, get your tickets now.
It's available at violetchachki.com.
I love that. So, I mean, let's see where you're going. All starts in Detroit, ends in San Francisco. LA is in there. Where else are we going?
We're going to New York. We're going to my home city of Atlanta. It's actually, the venue's right down the street from where I grew up. And I saw many music shows at this venue. So it's a little surreal to be on the flip side of it, because I was literally like 14 going to see, you know, a bunch of little punk rock shows and stuff there. So that's fun. And then where do we go after that? Then we go LA, San Francisco, Seattle.
Go Seattle. I love that. Is there, I mean, obviously your hometown is probably, the fans are probably insane, but is there a city that is specific, overly excited when you arrive in town?
Well, I was talking about this earlier because I feel like the US cities are a little bit harder to please than, I mean, it's a tough crowd because especially in LA or New York, it's sort of like, impress me. And the audience is sort of like, okay, well, let's see. They're sort of a bit more critical, and as they should be, because there's so much showbiz, there's so much entertainment, and they're so used to it. So, and that definitely motivates me to put on a really good show. I find that Seattle, whenever I'm there, there's such a scene of artists and such a community of like burlesque performers and circus performers. And I think that space is, they're just really excited to support other artists, especially queer artists, in that way. So I know the Seattle audience is going to be amazing. I've got lots of friends here in Los Angeles that are coming, which adds a layer of nervousness.
Yeah.
Then there's a lot of people in Atlanta, of course, coming, and in New York as well. So it's really hard to say. I'm definitely excited for, really all of them. I'm excited for the whole tour.
I know, it's like just to be able to get out again. You mentioned Atlanta growing up, and I know that you knew Tommy Dorfman when you were in school together. She obviously is, been so brave, and how happy are you for her to, just be able to be honest and open about living her, authentic life? And I think it was such a nice, article that came out last week.
I know, it is it's really inspiring and incredible because we grew up together. She went to a rival high school with me. We went on a few dates. Actually, we were both in theater in high school. So you sort of have a very small network of out gays in high school. And so that's sort of how we linked up. Um, and then we reconnected recently now that we're both sort of in the spotlight. And it's so inspiring. I mean, I know that she's been like playing with gender for the past couple of years and even talking to me about gender and my experience with it. And, you know, it's so inspiring. And it's so inspiring to see it celebrated on such a wide stage and a wide platform. And, you know, having a Time article about it and having these stunning photos and having it be just showcased in such a beautiful way. It's really, it's like almost surreal to see it happening. And then to think about us in high school, like being the only two out kids at our, you know,
Yeah.
Catholic high schools. It's interesting and kind of surreal to think about how far we've both come and where we're at both now. And I couldn't be happy for her.
Yeah, and I think that's the takeaway is that, you know, there are no rules and timeline or roadmap when it comes to your queer identity and journey. And, you know, there's a lot of, you know, time for things to happen. And so, yeah, I'm just really obviously super happy for her. So thank you for sharing that. And just a reminder, everyone, if you want to see Violet Chachki on the road, which I know I do, August 28th at the Belasco in LA, if you are an LA guy like me, or like she said, there's San Francisco, there's New York, Seattle, Atlanta, Detroit. Get those tickets, violetchachki.com. And yeah, I can't wait to see the looks on the stage, and I will be sending you all the good vibes to get in and out of those outfits quickly.
Oh, we will have it mastered by then for sure. I cannot wait. Thank you so much for speaking with me.
Yes, so good to see you, and I will see you on the road, and take care, and hopefully, well, before then, but hopefully we'll be back together in person soon. I feel like we're getting there. So take care.
Yes,
Talk to you soon.
I love that. Thank you, babe. Mwah.